Why did you leave when we still needed you?
Have you ever thought about the line between wild animals and humans? And what happens when that line gets blurred? What happens when a bond, built on years of trust and care, shatters in a single, terrifying instant? This isn't just a story about Marine Park. It's a story about a woman who loved the ocean with all her heart, a powerful whale with troubled past, and the horrifying final moments that changed everything. This is a story of Dawn Brancho and Tilikum, a story that will make you question the very nature of friendship built inside a tank. From the time she was a little girl, Dawn Brancho was completely captivated by killer whales. When she saw them at SeaWorld, she felt a connection so strong that she knew what she wanted to do for the rest of her life. While other kids were playing with dolls, Dawn was reading books about marine life and dreaming of the day she could be a trainer. This wasn't just a passing thought. It was a deep, burning passion that guided her every step. Her journey to becoming a star trainer was long and hard. She started at the very bottom, learning everything she could, scrubbing pools and feeding fish. She was dedicated and a quick learner, and she proved her natural talent every day. She learned the personality of every single orca, seeing them as individuals, not just performers. And in return, the whales seemed to respond to her gentle, loving energy. Dawn's relationship with a huge orca named Tilikum was especially unique. Other trainers were cautious around him. He was a massive, unpredictable whale with a difficult past. But Dawn saw something different in him. She saw a creature that just needed someone to be there for him. She spent countless hours with him, singing and talking to him in a soft voice, building a bond of trust that she believed was unbreakable. She was fiercely protective of him, even though her friends and co-workers often worried about her being so close to a whale known for being dangerous. But Dawn believed in their connection and felt no fear. It was a bond that, in its final moments, would be completely and tragically destroyed. Tilikum was a legend, but he was also a huge problem waiting to happen. He was over 22 feet long and weighed almost 12,000 pounds, making him the largest killer whale in captivity. But his size wasn't the only issue. His past was filled with pain and violence. He was captured off the coast of Iceland in 1983, ripped away from his family. He was first sent to a different park in Canada, where a terrible incident happened. A young trainer fell into his pool, and Tilikum, along with 2 other orcas, attacked and drowned her. This event sealed his fate as a dangerous animal, and he was eventually sold to SeaWorld. But even at SeaWorld, his troubled history followed him. In 1999, a man who had snuck into the park was found dead in Tilikum's pool. The man's body had been badly hurt, and even though his death was ruled a drowning, it was another clear warning. But Tilikum was too important to SeaWorld to be isolated. He was the main father for almost all the baby orcas at the park, making him incredibly valuable and a huge source of money. His sheer size made him a star, but he was a star with a silent warning sign that everyone seemed to have agreed to ignore. He was like a ticking time bomb of immense power and unpredictable rage. Looking back, there were so many signs that something was wrong. Other trainers whispered about Tilikum's strange behavior, how he would sometimes refuse to give up a toy or a bucket. There were even internal reports filed by worried staff about close calls and aggressive moments that were quickly brushed aside by the park's management. They would say, "He's just playing," or "He's just being an orca." But to the trainers who spent their lives in the water with these animals, the difference between playing and danger was becoming harder and harder to see. The pressure put on an amazing show for the public made the park relax some of the safety rules that were put in place after Tilikum's past incidents. For example, trainers were not supposed to be in the water with him. But over time, those rules were bent and broken. In the weeks leading up to the attack, some trainers noticed that Tilikum was acting differently. He was more distant and unpredictable. These small changes were often ignored or blamed on the whale's mood. After all, Dawn, the most experienced trainer of all, was still working with him. Her confidence was a kind of shield, a silent promise to everyone else that everything was okay. It was a dangerous form of denial, a group agreement to ignore the growing cracks in the foundation of their carefully built world. And the clock was ticking down to a moment that would change everything forever. February 24th, 2010, was a beautiful, sunny day in Orlando. The air was warm and the sky was a perfect blue. The Dine with Shamu show had just ended and a crowd of guests, still buzzed with excitement, watched as Dawn Brancho, smiling as always, interacted with Tilikum. The moment seemed so peaceful. Dawn was sitting on a platform, petting the massive whale's head, talking to him in a gentle voice. It was a perfect picture of peace, but it was the last moment of peace anyone would ever witness. Eyewitness accounts are all a little different, as they were all in shock, but the main parts of the story are the same. In an instant, without any warning, their peaceful interaction turned violent. Tilikum, with a sudden, powerful motion, grabbed her. Some people said he grabbed her long ponytail, pulling her head down violently. Others said it was her arm. But no matter what he grabbed, the result was the same. The calm water was shattered by a huge splash of foam. The quiet sound of the audience turned into gasps, then screams. The moment Dawn hit the water, Tilikum's terrifying power was unleashed. He began to shake her violently, a horrifying thrashing motion that sent waves of water splashing everywhere. He dragged her through the water at an incredible speed. Circling the pool, his massive body a blur of black and white. The water seemed to churn with a brutal, angry energy. The screams of the crowd were deafening, a chorus of terror and disbelief. For minutes that felt like an eternity, Tilikum held on to Dawn, refusing to let her go. He would sometimes surface, carrying her limp body in his mouth, before diving under again in a violent, possessive way that made no sense. Trainers on the side, their faces pale, screamed commands at him. They tried to distract him with buckets and toys, but Tilikum wouldn't listen. He was a force of nature driven by a rage no one could understand or stop. Dawn's body was a rag doll in his grip. Her life was brutally ending with every violent shake, every frantic dive. It was a living nightmare, a moment of pure, raw terror that seemed to have no end. The chaos that followed was like something out of a movie. As the terrified crowd ran away, SeaWorld employees, their faces a mix of fear and professional training, went into action. They called 911 right away. The police and paramedics arrived to a scene of total madness. They saw a giant orca holding a human body in a churning pool. Paramedics were ready to help, but they couldn't even get to Dawn. The struggle to get Dawn's body back became a long and nightmarish ordeal. For more than 45 minutes, SeaWorld staff tried everything to get Tilikum to release her. They threw food in other pools, tried to use nets to create a barrier, and even attempted to lure him with a specific toy he liked. But Tilikum refused to be distracted. He held on to Dawn with a grim, unwavering determination. The only way to get her was to move him to a separate, smaller medical pool. This was a highly delicate and dangerous move that required many trainers working together with special gates and nets. It was slow, difficult, and terrifyingly risky. It wasn't until Tilikum was finally isolated that the staff could finally, sadly, retrieve Dawn's body. The silence in the arena at that moment was deafening. The cheers of the crowd were replaced by a profound and chilling quiet. A heavy blanket of grief and shock settled over the park that would not lift for a very long time. The news spread like wildfire, becoming a global headline that shocked the world. SeaWorld trainer killed by killer whale. The simple headline hid the true horror of the event. The autopsy report, when it was released, revealed the full, brutal extent of the tragedy. Dawn's official cause of death was ruled as drowning and blunt force injuries. But the detailed findings were a testament to Tilikum's immense power and the ferocity of the attack. She had suffered a broken spinal cord, multiple fractures to her ribs, jaw, and limbs. Her scalp had been completely torn off, an injury so horrific it painted a grim picture of the violent, possessive thrashing she had endured. The report was a stark and unsettling contrast to the happy image of human and whale performing together. The media went wild. SeaWorld, a company built on a reputation of family-friendly fun, was now under a microscope. Journalists questioned their safety rules, their handling of a known dangerous animal, and the very ethics of their business model. The protests from animal welfare groups, which had always been a quiet concern, now gained a huge audience. The legal consequences were swift and severe. The U.S. Occupational Safety and Health Administration, OSHA, launched a full investigation. Their findings were damning. OSHA found that SeaWorld had put its trainers in a dangerous situation and gave them a major fine. The citation specifically said that trainers should not be in the water with Tilikum. It was a direct, official message that Dawn's death was not an unpredictable accident, but a foreseeable tragedy that could have been prevented. The subsequent legal battles became a public place for debate over keeping animals in captivity, with former trainers and experts explaining the dangers and the psychological damage that captivity causes these highly intelligent and social animals. The public reaction was a mix of grief and outrage. The documentary Blackfish, released in 2013, further amplified the conversation, bringing the details of Dawn's death and Tilikum's history to an even wider audience. The film, a powerful and emotional criticism of the marine park industry, had a profound and lasting effect on public opinion. SeaWorld attendance dropped, and their stock price took a nosedive. The company was forced to make a huge change. They first banned in-water work with orcas and eventually announced the end of their orca breeding program. The death of one trainer, once a tragic incident, had become the reason for a major change in an entire industry. Dawn Brancho's life was a testament to a powerful, passionate belief that humans and the wild could share a bond built on trust and mutual respect. But Tilikum's final horrifying act served as a stark and brutal rebuttal. In the end, the beautiful, carefully choreographed dance between trainer and orca was nothing more than an illusion. Behind the polished performances, an inner conflict was always waiting just below the surface. The tragedy of February 24th, 2010 was not just the death of a beloved trainer, but the death of an idea. It was a moment that the world was forced to confront the dark side of entertainment, to ask themselves if the thrill of seeing a magnificent wild animal perform was worth the ultimate price. Dawn's death was the ultimate tragic cost of that entertainment. It was a chilling reminder that the wild heart of an animal, no matter how long it has been contained, will always eventually remember what it is. And sometimes it will reclaim its freedom in the most terrifying way imaginable. If this story made you think about the relationship between humans and wild animals, please give this video a thumbs up. Share it with your friends and family to spark a conversation. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so you don't miss any of our future videos. Thank you for watching.